I would have liked to have begun this review by singing a few lines from a famous song that repeated the word zombie in the chorus. Sadly, no such song exists. Space. A continuous extension interval between planets, stars and other objects. These are the critiques of the critic McElvoy. His continuing mission to review strange new shows, to seek out new work and new bastardizations, to boldly note what no critic has noted before. Welcome, lunatics. It's another episode of Critic's Log, your favourite Star Trek commentary series. It puts Star Trek in a cage a couple of sizes too small and pokes it with a stick. Just the way you like it, you sadistic maniac. What are we talking about this week? Well, we're talking about Strange New Wounds, of course. It's the third episode of the third season. It's called Shuttle to Ken Forey. Who's Ken Forey? Well, he's not a man. He's a world that is home to a kind of magic flower that can offset the effects of Gorn human hybridity. You see, Gorn DNA is very aggressive, just like the Gorn themselves, of course. And there's absolutely no way to stop those aggressive Gorn genes taking over a human body, unless, of course, you can ingest a potion made from this particular flower. So at the beginning of this episode, Spock and M'Benga and Pike all have a chat about it, and they say, well, the magic flower exists on this planet. We've got to go and get it. This is a planet that's disputed. It's it's in a no-fly area. That's this post-Klingon war. So legally, we absolutely can't go there, but we will.
Right.
Now, in Treks of yore, there would have been a little bit of pushback on this idea, a little bit of discussion. You know, the options would have been gone through. Does the flower exist on any other planet? Can we synthesize it? Is there any way that we can get around illegality? But in this episode, it's all about taking a few shortcuts, because the writers of this show can't be fucked with that sort of nuance. So they just say, look, this is where it is. There is no alternative. We're not going to talk about finding an alternative. We're just going to go there. Little off-book mission. And Pike says, look, because it's illegal, I'll go and do it on my own. Said, I'm going to risk the career of Dr. M'Benga. Because, you know, he's apparently expendable. Now, Dr. M'Benga, of course, is one of Strange New World's most interesting characters. We've learned a little bit about him as the series has progressed. One of the things we learned last year was that he was an insane double operative, a former Federation assassin who was sent to kill a very prominent Klingon general. Now you might say, how does this sync up with M'Benga as a doctor, as a caring, ethical healer? A man who's committed to doing no harm. Isn't that the medical oath? Do no harm? Well, M'Benga's done a lot of harm. I mean, he calls, you know, his psychopathic side the Beast. At least I think that's what he's referring to. I don't know about you, but would you feel comfortable, in the care of a man who called himself the Beast? I've got a bit of a medical issue actually. I think I might go and see Dr. M'Benga. M'Benga? Yeah. You sure? I mean, he was in a bit of a bad mood this afternoon. I'm not sure I'd risk it actually. What do you mean by that? What do you mean risk it? What? He's the ship's doctor. He's the chief medical officer on the Starship Enterprise. I know, but I just heard that he's killed loads of people, that's all. I mean, it was wartime, but he seemed to relish it. He had like a bloodlust. And last year, he allegedly killed somebody on the ship. What? Yeah. Murdered them. Pike covered it up. What? Yeah. Still, good luck with your leg. In all credit to the actor who plays M'Benga, he's a very likeable character, and we can almost go along with all of this stuff because he's extremely interesting. We want to know more about him, and the performance is very credible, and the acting is very good, and he's a good member of the cast, one of the most interesting members of the cast. So we can forgive a great deal because we like M'Benga. Thank God we do, because if we didn't, if he was like, Ortegas, a fucking irritant, it'd be almost unbearable with that sort of background. It's not a very Trek-compatible background, is it, being a assassin and a killer? Those aren't usually the sorts of people that you find on the Enterprise. Cue a lot of pedants going onto Memory Alpha trying to find all the instances of Enterprise crew members who have killed people. Fine, go ahead. Fill your boots, but remember, they may have done so in self-defense or, whatever. Now, I know he was a wartime person, but he did it, he's been shown to do it with a certain relish, which is a little bit troubling. That's all I'm saying. So, Pike and M'Benga go to Kenfori, and there they find a planet that's very, very quiet. And that, of course, is the harbinger of doom, as we all know on Star Trek. Turns out that just as the Klingons came in and, slaughtered everybody and ran through the Federation botanists on the world, like, cut through them like they were butter. The Federation people were working on some sort of hybrid flower, a hybrid supercrop that mutated or something and put something into the air which everybody ingested, and they all became zombies. Hence we get Star Trek's first zombies. And they're all skeletal and aggressive, and there's blood and severed limbs and crushed heads. Star Trek's first ever crushed head with blood oozing out of them.
Please. Leave me alone.
Why are they doing all this? Well, because they're trying to save Batel, who will become a full Gorn otherwise. We discover during the episode that the best they can do for her is to turn her into a sort of human Gorn hybrid. Now that's a point of interest, isn't it? Because maybe that's the get out. Maybe Batel will become a new form of Gorn, who will resemble more the Gorns that we're used to from the original series. Maybe she's going to be the sort of Hugh Borg of the Gorn population. She's going to be drawn back to the Gorn. And she's going to, fuck as many as possible and introduce a sort of human element into the Gorn system. That wouldn't explain, of course, how they became warp capable without the human element, without the higher intelligence and sophistication. But, you know, the people who write the show have got to do something to reconcile what they've done with what's to come, or indeed what's already been. Because at the moment, you know, they're pretty far apart, aren't they, kids? If we're being honest, they need to bring that gap narrow, if they can. Was it a good episode, then? I mean, you don't need me to sort of tell you what happened, though I will. The daughter of the Klingon that M'Benga killed somehow found out where he was and came to kill him to restore the honour of her house. But it ended up being eaten by zombies after M'Benga refused to kill her. So, you know, there we go. I suppose it led to a confession on M'Benga's part. Now Pike knows the truth about what happened to M'Benga last year, etc., etc. Was it any good? Well, as I said at the beginning, in order to set up the premise, a lot of shortcuts were taken, which is kind of typical of this show. It doesn't want you to think too hard, and it doesn't really like dwelling too much on plot points, because usually they are shortcuts. And if you're not going... Why explain anything, or why think anything through? Why have characters vocalise the thought process on screen when you can just cut to the quick and do it? That's the Strange New Worlds philosophy. In this respect, Strange New Worlds resembles much more 80s episodic television than it does 60s episodic television. And when I say 60s episodic television, I of course am referring to Star Trek. It's fine, and a reasonably exciting episode and well made, and a M'Benga episode is always interesting. But you get to the end and inevitably you just think to yourself, there's something missing here. This is the feeling you often get with Strange New Worlds. You have a superficially good time, then you get to the end and then you think, there's something missing. What is it? My clothing below the waist? Yes, I'm not wearing any. But what else? That's it. Wit, nuance, intelligence. That little something that just would tease out the moral dilemmas being played out. It's a sort of philosophical element to Star Trek that is very heavily prevalent in, say, TNG. That's what you don't get here. It's Star Trek with the nuance stripped out. And it can't be satisfying for that reason, can it really? Well, can it? Let's do anomalous readings. The only thing to talk about, really, other than the main body of the episode, is Ortegas in this episode. Now look, you know I don't like Ortegas. I think that she's irritating, and she says something stupid every single episode. This week was no exception. Her zinger this week was, say hi to our dust. I fucking hate her. And I can't wait for the day that, you know, the helm panel blows up and she's dead and there's a big jagged bit of metal sticking in her throat. I can't wait for that day. Again, she is a Strange New Wounds creation. We know she won't make it to the days of Kirk and Spock. What's going to happen to her? Well, this week, a hint that maybe she's going to be chucked off the ship for insubordination, questioning orders, following her own instincts and ideas rather than listening to senior officers, being a bit bullshit, being a bit, snappy. Can't happen again, she was told in this episode. Yeah, sure, certainly. Did we believe her? No. And if this expedites her exit, I'm all for it. But that's the only point of human interest here, the promise that she's going to sort of implode. For righteous reasons, of course. I'm sure they'll contrive to have her implode, but also be right. Save the day, but die doing it. That would be fine. They want to make a hero of her. They want to make a martyr of Ortegas as a way of making up for all of those terrible one-liners they give her. Sure, fine. But that appears to me to be her arc in this season. And I confidently predict and hope that she will be dead at season's end. But don't quote me. That's it. There'll be more next week if we're all still around. You never know. Fate's a fickle thing, isn't it? Bye.
I need to get out of here. Find someplace safe.
I do not believe that is possible.